There was a study done by our industry that asked clients, what is it that you really want? And this was their rankings. I won't take long on this, but I just, top producers really understand you need to be the benchmark in your territory. So what is it that clients say that they want their salespeople to be? They want professionals that do what they promise. I think there's a stigma by a lot of prospects and businesses out there that many times in our industry they don't get what's actually promised. I would even go a step further and certainly do more than they promise to be a top performer, but that's what clients say they want as number one. Understand their business and sell solutions. They don't just want product, they want you to truly understand their business and become a real extension of their marketing team, as I mentioned earlier. In fact, a couple things you might, when you're prospecting for business and you come in contact with a new buyer, two terms I like to use in an introduction, and I like to use third-party stories when I describe it, but one thing you might want to say is, a client would say, I already have somebody I'm dealing with, why should I do business with you? Well, sir, I'm glad you asked that question. Let me just tell you what my clients tell me that's different about me and what I do. You see, I take the creativity of my business so seriously. Everybody can sell products, but not everybody can deliver solutions the way I can. So my clients tell me they see me as a true extension of their marketing team. They see me as an actual part of their team. In fact, there's many times I'm invited into their boardrooms for some brainstorming sessions in marketing when they have projects coming up. Another thing I've heard from my clients is they look at me as the best unpaid employee that they've ever had for their company. I'm not on their payroll, but really I am. They don't send me a check every week. I only make money when my ideas hit home with them. But that's how my clients view me, and that's what I hear from them every day. Think about that and use those two terms in your introductions. My clients view me as an extension of the marketing team, and I want to be your best unpaid employee your company has ever had. Provide an ease of doing business. I think this speaks, when they answer this, I think this speaks a lot to communication. We are in the communication age, and it's so important today to be accessible to prospects and clients for them to do business with you. If you have I've had a couple salespeople that I've heard messages that says, leave a message and I'll be back to you within 24 hours. That doesn't get it today. With BlackBerries and all the berries out there, there are so many easy communication methods to get right back to people, and that's the age we're in, especially because our buyers are becoming so much younger, and they're in that world more than we want to know, more than I want to know, because I'm getting pretty old. And you have to be in touch with them right away. The quicker you can, the better. So an ease of doing business, getting back to them right away and having timely solutions. Honesty. Clients say they want an honest person more than anything and offer a fair price. You notice that price isn't at the top of the list for what clients say they want. A lot of people think this is such a price industry. Protect your margins. Be very careful about your margins. If you offer value-added service and things, which we'll talk about in a little bit, you can get a fair price and keep your clients very happy. And finally, pros who stand apart from the rest by going above and beyond. We're going to talk about how to go above and beyond here in just a couple of minutes. Before I get into the meat and potatoes, one last slide I want to show you about top producer profiles. I found this study that was conducted by the Corporate Executive Board. And what they did is they went to, this wasn't just our industry, but this was a company that went to some top sales organizations in the US and did a study of all top performers that are in outside sales. And what they did is they came up with a category of 5 types of top performers. Every one of the companies that they interviewed listed one of these as a relevant top producer for their company. And there's a method to this madness that I want to tell you about here in a minute on how this works. But the first that some companies reported was the hard worker. This is the grinder that just works a ton every day. Doesn't know how they're going to get where they're going, but they work so hard every day, nothing's going to stand in their way of achievement. The second is the lone wolf. This is the prima donna that kind of goes out on their own, does their own thing, wildly successful, but they don't really follow the structure so much. Those of you that are distributor owners, you can probably start shaking your hand. You probably have some of these in your organization, I'm sure. The challenger is the salesperson that always views the world a little differently, and they learn to debate and love to teach. They love to educate customers. The fourth is the relationship rep. That's something we talk about in our industry quite a bit. We're in the relationship business, and the more you can build strategic relationships, the stronger you have trust, and the more you're accepted in each client. And the fifth is the problem solver. The person that's very good at taking what a client gives them, solves a problem. Now here's the question I want to ask you. Out of all of these, one of them was 37% more successful in these organizations when they did this study than all of the others. Who wants to guess what it was? The relationship rep. The problem solver. That's the same thing our team said. The problem solver, the relationship rep. We are in a relationship business. All of these are very important. The number one attribute up here that this study found was that the challenger, far and above, is the person who is seeked out and most coveted in business relationships today. And I'll tell you why. It gets back to what I mentioned earlier about work kind of getting into this, the Chet Holmes. If a good book to pick up, The Ultimate Sales Machine. Have you ever heard of that book with Chet Holmes? It talks about education-based marketing in there a little bit. The challenger who learns how to educate their clients and actually educates them into a sale is 37% more successful because they get the C-level clients and all the top marketing people and everything below to believe that they are an extension of the marketing team because they're an educator. So this study proved that that challenger model, an educator, is a lot more successful than the rest, 37% more successful. I found that to be very interesting and something you need to think about. All right, let's get into some nuggets. Here are the 10 habits that I would list from top performers that I work with as far as, yes, question in the back.
Yeah, before you start here, my question is, I'm hearing clients don't want to hear you talk about yourself. They want to talk about themselves. How do you mesh that with the challenger?
The question was, we're hearing from clients each day or hearing from the business world that in sales, the client wants to hear more about them more than they want to hear about your company or yourself and your unique attributes. And you're dead on. That's exactly what the challenger is all about. Sales presentations today by top performers have really changed. If you're going in and talking about your company and how you have the best in service, the best pricing possibility, you've been in the business X number of years, so forth. We're in an industry where everybody sells the same thing. Don't you think the last 5 people that came in said the exact same things? So it is all about the client. What you need to do, and I'll address that question, and this is a lot of the education-based marketing philosophy. You need to do research on the companies that you're calling on, and then you need to go in and address what you learn and educate them on how the solutions that you have in mind or the things you would like to get involved in tactically with their business are all about them and not about you. You're naturally going to come across to each one of those prospects as the leader because you're going to sound different than everybody else that comes in. I guarantee you 95% of your competition is calling on businesses saying, we're bigger, we're better, we have better pricing. And that doesn't cut it today. That's not what C-level clients want to hear. If you're going to get into the top businesses, it's got to be all about them. So very good question, and that's the foundation of education-based marketing. And a lot of it has to do with stats about their industry. One of the best things you can do in a presentation is go in and actually show clients stats about their industry so that you can show that you've done your research and you're prepared for them. Which parlays right into the first point here, prospecting. Top producers know that prospecting is #1 priority, and not only in the beginning of a year, but throughout the year. I'll tell you a little story. Sales rep that's I've worked with for the last 20 years. And every year, they're a top producer, over $1 million. And every year, they usually increase their business by 10%, 20%, even in 2009 when times were tough. I went to him one day and I said, how do you ensure that you increase your business every single year? You never have a down year. How do you do that? He said, you know, it's really simple. He says, January 1st of every single year, I lose 20% of my business. It's gone. In his mind, it's gone. So basically what he's saying is, I have to replace starting the first day of the year. Now, he doesn't lose the 20%, but that's how he goes about his thinking and business plan is, if I know that I have 80% of my business secured for the new year, and heck, some years we know we may lose a lot more than that. If you have a big account, it goes by the wayside, it can be worse. But this guy has a pretty diverse group of companies. But the key is he's looking at every year as if you're going in at 80% of what you had. That causes you to think about prospecting and what you need to do to build your business plan for the new year. So prospecting is number one. Understanding the difference between product selling and educating the client, education-based selling. Pick up that book. Pick up that Chet Holmes book and you'll see what we're talking about. You'll read chapter 9 in that book. It talks about how to educate your clients into a selling relationship. If you can sell to your clients and have a meeting of the minds at the end of your presentation, which is what all top producers do, you haven't even really sold them anything. You've had a meeting of the minds as an extension of their marketing team where they see the ROI and all of the things that they need to know about that transaction to say, well, heck yeah, let's do that. Let's do it. Let's move forward. So learn how to educate, and I could do a whole session on that, but you'll get the gist of it if you learn a little bit of Chet Holmes' philosophy.